And in the Impact segment tonight, as we stated, President Obama's power is at its lowest ebb right now. The question is he finished? Will he lose the election in November? Joining us from Dallas to handicap the situation, our pal Glenn Beck, the author of the big new bestseller, Cowards. All right. You heard Laura Ingraham and I were talking about, we don't think the folks have caught up with the story yet. But it's going to get bigger next week. With the full House vote on contempt with Holder, the Supreme Court coming in on Obamacare, and that could be the president's worst week ever starting on Monday. And you say?
And that's saying something. He's had some really bad weeks, especially lately. I think this is the arrogance of this administration coming home to roost, as Jeremiah Wright would like to say. The American people, I happen to agree with Laura, the American people have not connected with this yet, but I agree with you, Bill, they will. And when they start to, there's real trouble for the president. I think he's at his highest. If everything remains stable, you know, he controls a few things that are out of everybody else's hands. The calendar, pretty much until lately, the media, and he can move at his own pace. He controls the military. He controls the events around the world, or how he reacts to them in many cases, which could dramatically change this election. But this is really going to hurt him, I think, because people are tired of the partisanship, which I think he's banking on, that, oh, look, the Republicans are just going after. But once people really see the story of Holder and they know what this is about, they're not going to like this. They're not going to like this at all.
And the Obamacare thing could be huge, because that is really his signature achievement. If he doesn't have that, what has he done in 3.5 years? If you take Obamacare out, he got bin Laden. You got to give him that. The drone thing has caused chaos in Al-Qaeda. You got to give him that. But what else? What else can we point to? So he does have a big thing coming up. Now, there was a horrendous situation that Beck's been talking about on his radio program in Rochester, New York, outside of Rochester. A 68-year-old woman who's a bus monitor. That means she rides on a bus to make sure kids don't get hurt. 68 years old, Karen Klein, is taunted by 4 13-year-olds. Roll tape.
Karen, you're fat.
Dude, you're so fat. You take up like the whole entire seat.
Oh, no. Look,
oh my god, your glasses are foggy from your freaking sweat, you fat. If I stabbed you in the stomach and my knife would go through you like butter, because it's all watery.
Unless you have something nice to say, don't say anything else.
How about you shut the up?
Karen, are you sweating? Karen.
Oh my god, look,
are you sweating? You're not sweating. Why is there water on your face?
I'm crying.
All right. The authorities at the school, it's the Athena Middle School, say they're going to take action against the children, the 4 13-year-olds. And Beck says they're not. Go.
They're not. They're not going to. The school is done. These kids know that they've gotten away with it. You know, it was my website, theblaze.com, that broke this story nationally yesterday and released this tape. And you know, there's a couple of things that are fascinating to me on this story. First of all, these kids are dead inside. This is a 68-year-old woman. They talked about how her family doesn't love her, and so her family just kills themselves. Well, she had a son commit suicide. She's a widow. I mean, it's horrible. She was crying at one point. These kids are absolutely dead inside. And one of the parents said, well, you know, my kid, he was just brought along with the other kids. He wasn't really that bad. The other parent said, well, they've learned their lesson. They sure have learned their lesson. Have they? Have they, Bill? I dare to say your parents, my parents, would have had us raking the leaves of this woman's yard every fall, mowing her lawn every summer for free. We would have been busting our butt. We wouldn't have had anything. Our parents...
Let me read a quote from Robert Helms, one of the fathers of one of the boys. He said that it broke his heart to see that his son was involved with this, so he's not making excuses for the kid. But he says, quote, he's a 13-year-old kid. It was a stupid mistake, and he's paying for it, but I just think it's a little out of control.
I don't think it's out of control.
Obviously, you don't think so.
No, I don't think it's out of control. I think these kids are dead inside. And here's the I'm torn on this one because Americans do care. They see this and they're really hurt by it. And they feel for this woman.
Sure.
And so people are sending her money. It's up to, I think it's over $300,000 have been raised in this woman's name to give her a check. But
and you're largely responsible for that, Beck. So I just want everybody to know you're largely responsible for the money going to the woman.
I think here's the problem. That's a typical American response. Let's just give her money. Give money to the problem.
Well, that's comfort, though. That's comfort.
It is, Bill. But you know what? The problem is deeper than this.
Would you expel these kids? Would you kick them out?
Yes,
you would.
Absolutely. They would not ride the bus. I would. You know what? And the parents would complain and say, "Well, you can't do that. Then it's my inconvenience." Yeah, and your children were the ones doing it. I guess you're inconvenienced. Yeah, right. I would.
Now, Beck has a book out because he runs around, by the way. It's not just on this program you have the sign, but wherever Beck goes, somebody carries a sign behind him with the name of the book on it. But here's the good part.
Yeah.
On July 1st, New York Times bestseller list. That's a week from Sunday. Beck's book is number 2.
Oh, stop it.
Whose book is number 3? Killing Lincoln.
Yes.
How long has Killing Lincoln been in the marketplace?
40 weeks.
Okay, how long has Beck's book been in the marketplace?
1.
So I'm right behind you, Beck.
No, here, wait a minute. Hang on just a second. The New York Times, I beat the book that's number 1 by 65% in sales. 65%.
Then why are you number 2?
New York Times. We're number 1 in USA Today. We're number 1 Publishers Weekly. The New York Times. Yeah, number 2.
Why?
They put just for this moment, I think, the New York Times, just to put me right next to you, so you could say, "I've been on for 40 weeks, Beck."
Well, I got to number 1, but not on not on
Please buy the book.
A bold, fresh piece of humanity. They did the same thing to me on that book.
Buy the
same
book,
thing
so
that
Bill
they did
can't
you.
say that.
All right, all right. Books provocative, Beck, and we appreciate you coming on tonight. Bill.